Welcome to the recap show on the Baseball Awakening podcast with Geoff Rottmayer. Today we will discuss the lessons learned and the action items from yesterday's interview.
Hey guys, Geoff Rottmayer here with the Baseball Awakening recap show, where I share with you the biggest takeaways I got from my conversation with Dr. Peter Fadde, as well as how I plan to implement what I've learned with my players that train with me in my academy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And again, as I always say, we want to hear from you because different things mean different things to different people. So it'll be interesting to see how you interpreted something that Dr. Fadde said or something that I'm going to say today. And I will make a show reading your email because we can all learn something from it. So my email is going to be Geoff, Geoff, @baseballawakening.com. So send me your thoughts, comments, or feedback. Anything that involves the eyes and the brain fascinates me. Your eyes feed the brain information, and the better and trained your eyes are, the better athlete you're going to be in general. So Dr. Fadde started this quest with wanting to understand how to train pitch recognition and came across this concept, a very, very old concept of video occlusion, which basically would show you in the video, on the image, there's a pitcher and he's throwing the baseball, and within that first third window or right out of the hand, you would have to see the ball because the video is going to black out. And you won't see the ball anymore. So the idea to get you guys to learn to see the ball in the hand and learn to see the ball extremely early. Most guys, they have to be taught how to see the ball. Even with this program, they will eventually figure it out. But they have to be taught how to see the ball. You know, it's kind of assumed that guys know what we mean when we tell them to keep their eyes on the baseball. And what happens is we're really good at tracking the ball. And like Dr. Fadde said, it's kind of natural instinct to track the baseball. You know, anything that's coming at you, we're going to train, or we're going to track. But it's the picking the ball up early enough to recognize what it is and where it would be, is the key to playing this game at a higher level, where the pitchers have tremendous speed and movement on their pitches. And the other thing that we have to remember through this process is because the ball's coming in so quickly, we don't have time to think about it. We have to train enough to where our brain has seen enough of the pitches to recognize, to get cues from it. This requires seeing a lot of pitches. I mean, you need to see hundreds and hundreds of pitches to build up this mental database of pitches of different types, pitches of different locations. So it's a very long process, and it's a process that you have to be patient with, especially with the young kid. They have a very limited database. So when you see a kid that's swinging at a high pitch, okay, now his brain knows that isn't the pitch that he wants to swing at. And you know what? He probably will swing at it again and again and again until he realizes enough, okay, I've seen that pitch enough to know that I don't want that pitch and no, I don't want to hit it. So we have to be patient during this process. Training to pick the ball up early and training what a kid should be seeing when the ball's coming at them is important. You know, as mentioned in the conversation with Dr. Fadde, some hitters can see the spin. Some hitters can see color. Some can see the shape. They see the cues and stuff. And I believe all of them can be trained. And you got to just start telling guys. You know, obviously you have the Game Sense app, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But you can do it in the cages as well. You can do it with front toss. I think front toss, you know, front flips, you know, the overhand flip, front toss. It's a great place to start working on this stuff. You tell a guy, hey, I want you to see the spin. If you see backspin, swing. If you see forward spin, don't swing. You know, and eventually they get really good at seeing the spin. You say, hey, we want a 4-seam spin, we want a 2-seam. Get really good at seeing spin. And then the next thing we will tell them is get really good at seeing color. So sometimes the ball will look white, sometimes the ball will look red. And what we'll tell them is, hey, just swing at red, let white go. So now they're really forced to pay attention to the color of the pitch or the ball. Same thing with the spin. They're really forced to pay attention. And then eventually we'll add in, different type of movement, so the slider and the curveball and all that stuff. And now they got to get really good at seeing the shape. So we'll do this in front toss. And we're telling guys, pay attention to this. And we'll work on them all. So that they can, and at some point during games, they're going to say, you know what, I see spin better than anything else. And then we'll work on that. Or some guy will say, look, I see color better than anything else. And we'll work on that. So, but then after you do the front toss process, you do the same thing into live throwing. So always training guys to pay attention to what the baseball's doing. This gets rid of the mindless work too. Now they got to really focus on the baseball. And that was something that Dr. Fadde talked about a little bit in the conversation was, and I agree with him, is having the decision-making process during training so that you can get rid of this mindless work. You can get creative with this. Again, like I just mentioned earlier with front toss, we can show the ball 4-seam, 2-seam, and you can see the different spins, you can see the different colors, you can see the different movements on it too. So getting rid of the mindless work, telling guys, hey, we're only going to swing at the 4-seam, let the 2-seam go. Hey, we're only going to swing at red, let white go. Hey, we're only going to swing at, top spin versus back spin, stuff like that. So, and really what should happen is guys should get mentally exhausted. And they should be mentally exhausted during games too. But we don't see enough of that because they're not focusing and concentrating hard enough. But if you get them to focus and concentrate hard enough on the baseball, then you're going to start to see them just get mentally exhausted. Now you know things are working. And then we went on into the conversation where we were talking about visualization and how tough of a concept it can be. And that's where, Dr. Fadde's app, his Game Sense Sports app comes into play. This video occlusion, which is basically you're seeing the picture and that becomes your form of visualization. And then you tell hitters to remember what they saw from the video occlusion program into the cages. So this becomes a real simple process to help guys with the visualization process, because you can talk to any professional athlete and visualization is a very big part of their process. So it makes sense that we try to train that as well. And this Game Sense Sports app is a great place to help guys start this process. So I highly recommend it for your hitters. The visualization process, what they're going to do, they'll see those pitches on that Game Sense app. And then you just tell them, hey, remember that when you jump into the cages. And the other thing that's really nice about the Game Sense app is it gives you tons and tons of pitches to watch, different pitches to watch, and you can see what they're about. So you can, it's the left-hand side, the right-hand side, sliders, curveball, you can see so many pitches. And like Dr. Fadde said, 5 minutes a day will do wonders to your game as a hitter. So you guys can find 5 minutes in your day to help you get better as a hitter just by simply learning to read, pick up ball earlier, to visualize pitching. So let's say that you guys can't afford the app, which is fine. Everybody's in a different situation. What we do at our place, in addition to the app, we have a net inside of our cages. And it's about 10 feet in front of where the thrower will be. And we have throwers throw pitches into the net. And we're telling them to mix it up. We want fastball, curveball. And once the ball hits the net, the hitter has to pick up the ball. And then what we'll tell them is, if it's a fastball, swing. If it's a curveball, don't swing. It's a very valuable part of our training. So again, we have a net about 10 feet from the back of our cage. We have somebody standing back there, and they're just going through the pitching motion, and they're throwing the ball into the net. And the hitters are supposed to pick it up, and they do. If you tell them how, you have to take them through the process of the how-to part. How do I start the process? Because a lot of them just don't have a clue. The other thing that, Dr. Fadde and I talked about was when it comes to recognizing pitches, you still have to understand the count, the situation, and you still got to go through some sort of a process of elimination game and get rid of pitches that you're going to try and recognize. So if a guy throws 4 pitches, it's going to be extremely tough to pick up and recognize all 4 pitches. So you're better off picking off pitches that, picking pitches that you want to hunt and recognize early and do some damage. So again, the whole concept of trying to cover every pitch, in every part of the zone, almost applies here. You want to pick a pitch that you want, and you want to hunt it early. Now, getting better at pitch recognition means you do a lot of practice. In games, you want to kind of rely on the mental database and understand that the pitch you saw the pitch before, and your brain recognizes it, and then your body just responds. It's really that simple. See the ball, let your brain decide what you're going to do with your body. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to think about the pitch. You don't have time to think about your mechanics. So the only thing you're going to do is see the ball as early as possible and let your brain decide what to do. You always hear about guys who say they have no idea what they hit or how they even hit it. That's kind of what you want. You want to get to that point. You want to get so lost in the baseball that you have no clue what you're doing. So again, we want to get so lost into the baseball that we have no idea what we saw or how we hit it. That's kind of a pretty cool feeling. Later on in the conversation, Dr. Fadde gets into talking about sitting in on bullpens. You can stand in and work on seeing pitches. You can work on seeing pitches while playing catch. This is something that I think more guys need to try to do and try to understand. You have a tremendous opportunity every single day to work on seeing the ball out of the hand just by playing catch with your teammate. Now, I do think that this needs to be taught because very few guys know how to begin this process. You can really tell as a coach who's doing it and who's not. You could tell who picked up the ball early and who doesn't just by how they respond in the box and how they play catch with the guy. So this is a very underutilized technique, standing in during bullpens and then utilizing pitch recognition or picking up the ball early while playing catch, using a technique that's going to allow you to do that. So I asked Dr. Fadde about going from like a soft focus to hard focus. And we talked a little bit about that, and I kind of like his explanation, along with Dr. Bill Harrison, when he talked about, you want to keep the eyes relaxed and moving. Everyone's different when it comes to this. But I think guys have to understand what their options are. There are options on how to go from soft to hard. So several of these different examples, or several of the different options of how to do that, it needs to be taught to the kids. But if they don't know what their options are, I think they're missing a huge boat on developing this part of their game. The soft focus to hard focus, to being able to pick the ball up early. I went on to ask Dr. Fadde about today's game and guys throwing harder and strikeouts being up. With guys throwing harder, with more movement, the mental database isn't as full as with guys who are in the low 90s, and hitters have seen that for years and are ready for it. And he brought up another good point was pitchers are being swapped so often now, to the matchup. And you very rarely see a guy from a second to the third time in a game. So this game right now at the big league level is very challenging. And I'm with Dr. Fadde and Dr. Bill that if they understood how to see the ball better and learn to slow the game down, you can see guys improve. And even, 10% better. If they swing at 10%, let's say swinging at better pitches, they improved their ability to swing at better pitches 10%. This is huge when it comes to the end of the season. Vision is not the sexiest thing in training right now. But I believe it is one of the most important part of training. So when a guy tells me he isn't hitting well, I always start with how well are you seeing the baseball. Because if you're not seeing it well, then you're not picking it up well. If you're not seeing it well, you're not tracking it well. If you're not seeing it well, you're not recognizing the cue that you were able to before when you were hitting well. So if the vision's off, and you're swinging at bad pitches, then yeah, your mechanics are going to fall apart. So how about our first solution is to get a good ball to hit, be on time, and see how much your mechanics clean up. You'll be surprised. And the last thing that I want to kind of share about my conversation with Dr. Fadde, we went on and talked about, youth baseball coaches, their focus needs to be to help guys get ready for their at-bat over coaching third base. To me, coaching third base is kind of a weird angle to watch hitters, but that's not even the point. Our job as coaches is to teach these kids something. And they need to have an idea and they need to have you in the dugout teaching them how to prepare mentally, how to prepare physically for their at-bat. So let someone else coach third base, and you go out and you try to get your hitters ready for their at bat. Teach them what to look for. Teach them how to prepare. So that's all I'm going to go over on my conversation with Dr. Fadde. I'm big on the vision stuff, and we're going to keep doing what we do in terms of vision training and incorporating into our training. I highly recommend checking out this GameSense Sports Pitching Recognition app, as well as checking out Dr. Fadde's ebook, The 6 Tools Training Pitch Recognition, on Amazon. And of course, if you haven't listened to the conversation, you need to do that as well. So thank you all for tuning in.